Welcome to the virtual edition of our Creation Health Lunch and Learn series. Today's topic is Budget Bootcamp, and we're talking about whipping your wallet into shape. So financial health is one of those topics that we get a lot of requests for. And just like nutrition activity, there's no one-size-fits-all solution for achieving financial fitness. So for today, your presenters are myself, Stephanie Arguello,
and Kate Krause.
So we're excited to be here, and like we said, we know finances is a topic that we hear requests for quite a lot. So our objectives for today are to talk about financial wellness. So we really want to talk about how finances can affect your overall mind, body, and spirit health, and also share with you some healthy financial habits. So what are some opportunities to improve your overall health while setting and reaching those financial goals?
And as Dave Ramsey, who is a financial guru who focuses on faith and finances, once said, "You've got to tell your money what to do or it will leave." So like any aspect of our health, it's vital to have a plan for where you want to go with your finances. Whether your goal is to save money, pay off debt, or save for retirement, it's important to have that clearly identified and be taking steps each day to bring you closer to it.
Absolutely. And a lot of people think about, as an organization, why financial health is so important. And it's true that not only is it a huge stressor in your personal lives, but that can definitely carry over into your professional settings. So there was a study done, it is actually an employee financial wellness survey, that asked a group of United States working adults about their finances and the stress that comes from that. And so 52%, over half of United States employees are stressed about finances. So it's definitely a topic that we all can agree is stressful. 28% of employees actually report that issues with personal finances have been a distraction at work. So as an organization, this is definitely worrisome, and especially in the healthcare field where we have to be very strict with some of the decisions and make quick decisions with things. Being distracted, we don't really have a lot of room for that. So we want to make sure we're taking care of that stressor. To go a little bit further into it, 45% of employees say that financial matters cause the most stress in their lives. So when you think about it, it's not only a stressor for a lot of people, but it's one of the largest ones. And 46% of those employees who report being distracted say they spend about 3 hours a week thinking about or dealing with issues related to their personal finances. So it's a huge stressor. It's taking up time away from the things that are most important for us. So it's definitely one that we need to address.
And we all know that stress and sleep go hand in hand. The National Foundation of Credit Counseling asked a group of 2,000 individuals what kept them up at night. And over 80% of those individuals reported that their personal finances affected their quality and their quantity of sleep. So what can we do about this? The first step is identifying those major worries. It's natural to want to avoid dealing with financial issues that cause us stress because it's uncomfortable. But we have to make sure that we have a plan in place. It's important to face these major contributors to financial stress. So by having a plan, we can simply know how to deal with the problem and decrease our stress response. And then seek opportunities. Be an advocate for yourself. It's worth asking current companies what they can do to decrease your monthly expenses. And then be savvy. Look at reoccurring expenses and do your research. Are there better options out there? And one of the topics that Stephanie and I have talked about recently is cable or internet. Just calling up who your provider is and asking, how can this be decreased? A lot of times they'll work with you and help you to find a better deal.
So when it comes to finances, we know, if you're in a relationship, then this can be a big stressor. We know the rates for divorce nowadays, and that finances is one of those #1 reasons that can cause a lot of conflict. So when it comes to talking about interpersonal relationships and really a deeper conversation about trust and how finances play a role, we wanted to look at a couple studies that talk about how finances can be affected in our relationship. So there was a study that looked at couples with children under 18 and without to compare and see how their conflict levels differed. So 64% of couples without kids under 18 argue about finances. That's still pretty high. So it's definitely a source of conflict for many couples. But when you add in children under 18, that percentage goes up to 80% of couples. So it can definitely be a huge stressor, especially when you have younger children. And the hot topics when you talk about these sources of conflict when it comes to finances, over 55% of those arguments had to do with spending. And again, that's one of those habits that we're going to talk about more in depth. 37% of those arguments were focused about saving, which can be another touchy topic. And when we talk about how trust plays such a huge role in finances and in our relationships, 21% of those arguments were around the area of feeling like there was some deceit, and then 11% were regarding exclusion from decisions. So we're touching on some, again, really sensitive topics when it comes to finances. Another thing to consider, and this is whether you're in a relationship or single, are just some of the things that make us different and how we might approach our finances. So when it comes to gender, and this is of course in general, women tend to value talking about finances and planning those financial futures more than men. When it comes to your personal habits too, and this is actually a page from Dave Ramsey's book, we tend to be naturally a spender or a saver. So it's important to look at your personal habits in your relationship or on your own to know which type of person you are. And just like we approach and look at our medical history when it comes to our overall health, it's important to look at your family history when it comes to finances, because that does help to shape your habits growing up. So as a child or growing up, how were your finances, or how did your family approach finances? And that can also play a huge role in how you approach it as an adult. So the good news when it comes to relationships, studies have shown that the happiest people and the happiest relationships are those where people talk about money more frequently. So it's important to have those conversations, and really the key is being on the same page. So now these financial can be tough. You know, sometimes they're uncomfortable things to talk about. Sometimes they can be kind of boring, but it's definitely vital to make sure that you're having those conversations with your partner. Setting goals together is another good habit to have. That way you know you're both on the same page as to what direction you're going to and why. And then once you've set those goals and identified them together, and whether that's in a relationship or just having an accountability partner, but once you set those goals, it's all about committing to the commitment. So it's not one person versus the other. It's both of you agreeing that you're going to work together and make sacrifices for a healthier financial future.
So moving forward and talking about building healthier habits, the first step is to evaluate your finances. Everyone is different. We all have different goals. We all have different barriers. There's different challenges placed in our lives. But for some of us, we may want to stop living paycheck to paycheck. Others want to get out of credit card debt or student loan debt, while others are hoping to strengthen their savings for retirement. So regardless of where you are, setting goals is vital to improving your financial fitness. So starting with identifying what those goals are, identifying what those barriers are, and then taking action. And as Stephanie said it beautifully, it's committing to the commitment.
Absolutely. And when we talk about taking those first steps, it really goes down to the foundation of choice. And that first piece is really taking responsibility. When it comes to finances, it's very easy for us to look at all the things that are outside of our control and get into where we might play the blame game a little bit. And, you know, we tend to justify things by saying, well, if we had a larger salary or if we weren't paying a car payment, things would be better. But it's important for us to really take a look at what are those things that we're doing that might be taking us further away from our goals, and taking responsibility for the pieces that we have control over. Once we can do that, then it's time for us to really become more aware of where we're spending money. So asking yourself for a month, what are the top 3 expenses that you have? A lot of times we think it's our mortgage, our utility bills, but it's important to also look at some of that discretionary spending. So for example, how much are you spending on going out to eat or on shopping? You know, add that up for a month and see what that totals to. And really for that, it's all about, you know, sticking to a budget or, you know, using different tracking tools to first be aware of where your money's going, because that's a vital piece is getting closer to your goals. And once you do that, then you can identify those opportunities to save. And a lot of it's going to come down to those smaller purchases, because those are those ones that we don't really have planned in our budget. We know about our monthly bills, but those small purchases are easy for us to justify. If it's only $5 or $10, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but if you're making those small purchases on a daily or weekly basis, that can definitely take a big chunk away from your additional money that could go towards savings or paying off debt. And I know for me, I have to just avoid the dollar section at Target because when we see a price tag of, $1 or $2, we think, it's basically free. And that type of mentality can really get us in trouble.
So when it comes to activity, we have an opportunity, and it can be an easy win to control our spending. When we are thinking about what we can do, choose experiences over buying things. It gives us an opportunity to unplug and get outside. And also, be strategic. Make sure that you do a little bit of research ahead of time. Check out some different opportunities to save, and always ask. Remember, as a Florida hospital employee, we have access to a lot of discounts or even free events in the area. So it doesn't hurt to ask, do you offer discounts for Florida hospital employees? Many times when I do that, the answer is yes, and any little bit helps to save.
And not to mention, when we unplug and get outside, not only is that going to help our pocketbook, but we're also getting vitamin D and sunshine that our body really needs. And when it comes to nutrition, it's the same thing. Not only if we're limiting eating out, not only are we going to make healthier choices and prepare food that's better for our body, but we're also going to save money. So eating out can be one of those big pieces, and if you think about just eating lunch out every day, or we have the example here of that cup of coffee that you might pick up on your way to work every day, again, $4 doesn't seem like a large price tag, but if you're doing that 5 days a week for an entire year, you're spending over $1,000 just on coffee. So there's a lot of opportunities with that discretionary spending for us to make a healthier choice of preparing things at home versus going through a drive-thru or picking something up out of convenience. And when we do shop, because we know we need groceries, we can make, again, small choices that just help us to shop a little bit smarter. So things like opting for a farmer's market or a local store instead of going for those higher price tags of some of those more specialty stores. Shopping by season. We talked about this in our meal prep webinar earlier this year about how shopping by season, not only is the food going to taste fresher and better, but it's usually less expensive when it's in season. And then even taking advantage of couponing. And couponing looks a lot different now than it was a few years ago, where you had to collect magazines and get your scissors out and organize and clip different things. Now there are so many different apps that make it easy to use your technology, use your smartphones to save money. Another fun way to approach your nutrition when it comes to saving money is incorporating some type of 30-day challenge, and this can be done at work or with your family. So one fun challenge is for 30 days just to simply track how much you're spending on snacks and drinks. You'd be surprised what that adds up to, and that gives you an opportunity to be more aware of what you're spending on. Another fun competition would be to challenge your coworkers or challenge your spouse to see who can bring their lunch to work every day for the longest amount of time. So that's another one that can hold you accountable, and it makes it more fun.
So even our environment can contribute to our financial health. You want to ask yourself, where and when do you do the majority of your discretionary spending? Is it when you're out to eat with certain groups, or is it mainly on going out to eat or drink? I know Stephanie just mentioned the 30-day challenge. That's something that I personally did myself and was shocked to find out just how much I actually spent each month going out to eat. So identifying what my discretionary spending was going towards, and then understanding that's not getting me towards my goal, was a huge help in projecting me towards the goals that I actually do want to reach with my finances. The second thing is make it harder to overspend by carrying cash. There's actually a psychological response when you have to hand over cash versus credit card or debit card. Those little plastic cards are just so easy to swipe instead of handing over physical green cash. And then be aware of the influence that scrolling through social media or watching commercials can have when it comes to our spending. It's so easy these days on social media especially. You'll notice that certain items will pop up that you might have researched on the internet just a few hours ago or a couple of days ago, and all of a sudden you think it's a sign that you have to have it or you need it or you have to buy it. Nope, those are just tricky little gimmicks. Don't buy into that. Understand that's not going to help get you towards your goals for finances.
That is so true. It's like the saying, a penny saved is a penny earned.
Which I think is our secret phrase, Stephanie.
It is. Oh. So in case you missed it, our secret phrase, which you will need to enter into the survey after this video is done, is a penny saved is a penny earned. So as we get towards the end of our budget boot camp, the one piece we really want to highlight is really focusing on your outlook when it comes to finances. This can be, like we mentioned before, it can be a touchy subject. Finances can be very stressful for families. So it's important to really start by focusing on the future and looking ahead. We've all made mistakes when it comes to finances or had that unexpected expense pop up that makes us feel like it's taking us away from our goals. But the beauty is it's never too late to set new goals and start over. So if you've, made a poor choice in the past or had things happen that were outside of your control, it's important to focus on what can you do now. The next piece is really remember to control the controllables. We can't say that enough. Remember to focus on what are the things that you can actually do to improve the situation, and start with simply making a plan. And we mentioned this before, just simply having that plan in place is going to really help to reduce the stress response when it comes to especially those unexpected expenses that pop up. And the last piece, and we cannot say this enough, is just to stay positive and really be patient with yourself. Finances, again, it's very personal and it can be very stressful. So it's important to make that choice to stay positive and have faith that those sacrifices that you're making are for a healthier financial future. And before we leave, we wanted to just highlight a few of those resources that you have as employees at Florida Hospital. There are resources we encourage you to take advantage of, as you work here and in your personal life as well. So we have our employee assistance program. There are so many resources. We don't even have time to list all of them here, but just to name a few, they can assist with free financial counseling. If you need legal advice, you can actually get those services through EAP, and there are so many other discounts that they provide. So I encourage you to look through that website and get comfortable with it. Our retirement services through AHRP, you can actually speak to a retirement counselor. So if long-term savings is a goal on your list, they can help you with that. We do also have our Florida Hospital Credit Union. So if you're looking to build up your savings, or maybe it's time to purchase a new car, they have a lot of opportunities. And the great thing about the credit union is that they extend that trust to their employees and offer that second chance that you may not get at a larger establishment. If you're thinking about going back to school, I know Kate mentioned student loans. The beauty of working at Florida Hospital is you have opportunity to take advantage of the Educational Assistance Program, which used to be the tuition reimbursement program. So if that's something that's, again, on your list and one of your goals, Florida Hospital can help with that. And we all know that sometimes things happen and we fall on hard times, and we have our employee-funded Hope Fund. So if you know of anyone, or if you're ever in that, place that we hope to never be in, where you're in financial trouble, reach out, and that's another support option for you. And if you're looking for something fun to do or different activities, definitely check out our perk spot. That's through our Florida Hospital Rewards. And again, as an employee, we get discounts to so many different places. I was so surprised with how many things are on there. So I encourage you, again, to take some time when you get some time to look through and see some of those opportunities. And as a bonus tip for you, we mentioned Dave Ramsey. He uses faith as an approach to finances. So our Smart Dollar program is available to employees through our Creation Health Employees website. And it's a $5 donation to the Hope Fund to help support employees. And you'll be provided with access to so many tools. There are budgeting tools. You'll receive a financial wellness score, and also be able to watch different videos and educational pieces to learn more about taking control of your finances.
In addition, Dave Ramsey also has a free app that's called Every Dollar, which I personally use and have found many great ways to save through that. And it also makes you really aware with your own personal finances and budget. So I definitely, both Stephanie and I definitely suggest looking into that resource. So you've done your biometrics. Now what? We want to make sure that you know you have to complete your health assessment if you haven't done so already. That's that quick 10 to 15 minute questionnaire on your WebMD portal. If you've done that, awesome. If you need to schedule a health coaching session, a health coaching call, you can do that also on your WebMD portal. If you need to make up for certain points in part 1, that's something you want to do. Or if you just want a health coach to speak to for free, you're also welcome to do that. That's a resource for you. If you've completed part 1, awesome. Keep earning your points for part 2. You need a total of 50 points for the additional $100 for a total of $250. And you can see all of your points on the reward section on your WebMD portal.
And speaking of points, your points will be loaded on a quarterly basis. So I want to thank you for your patience, as it does take time to get those loaded. We hope that you were inspired today with some of the tips that we shared. And remember that, finances is just one piece of that overall whole person health that we hope to achieve. So thank you for your time for today. We hope that you were, again, inspired to take one step to improve your finances, and have a great day.